what I've seen here is a potential to get a 2 dice block on the wall carrier here by moving this mummy out of the way, meaning that he has an assist. So what I've done, but I need to mark him, so it's a 2 dice block still. So what I've done here is taken this 2 dice block here on this guy to follow up and then mark him. So rather than, I could have moved this guy around just to mark him normally, but instead I've taken a 2 dice block that enables me to mark him anyway. And unfortunately I won an 81 when I had 2 dice on the ball on any other result. That's quite annoying, but these things happen, and I think the right decision was, that was the right decision. So we just have to play on and hope for the best. So the Khemri still have 4 turns at this point, so there is pretty big chance that he can actually get through and score, whereas otherwise he was looking pretty much drive over, you know, 0-0 but the best. So not the best time to do that. So in this stage we are just in recovery mode. I've moved this school back around here because of the position that I've been left in by that 181 and the blocks that he's been able to get. There isn't really much for me to do on this turn. So, you know, half dice is here. This is a fine position for me. I'm marking 3 of his players with 2 of mine, so I'm not in a hurry to do any blocks there early in the turn. These 2 ghouls are tied up here where these 3 players not in a good place, so I decided to go for the 1 dice and the ball now. So the previous turns I didn't want to do that, that seemed like too much of a risk, but the 181 in the previous turn has meant that now I need to start taking slightly more positive risks to try and slow him down. So even a pushback here is getting him back in the mix, but there's a 1 in 3 chance of a POW, which I luckily got, and to try and make things messy again. I couldn't afford in that position to just continue to be passive and to try and make him make all the decisions or the dice rolls, because the 181 had created a situation where there was too much upside for him if he got it to work. So the previous turns, I'm forcing him to roll dice, but the normal upside of him having a good turn with his dice is just that he has to do it all over again. Unless he kills everybody, then I'm just going to stand people back up and make him do the same thing all over again. Do the dance another time. That turn, the upside of him having a great turn was him getting away down here, so I needed to change the strategy slightly. So yeah, rerolls down, all of these 2 dice blocks are finally telling, and that one failed before he got a chance to get to the ball. So, 4 players on the ball, there's no real chance of me getting this turn. So I'm just going to move the zombie around and mark on the Tomb Guardians, that's a good trade. I'm then going to get my guy on the ball. So now that the ball is messy again and he can't probably score on his next turn, I'm happier to commit my guys in here rather than just being offensive and getting them back. So getting my guys on the ball as well, creating a massive scrum. If there's one thing Khemri don't like, it is a scrum. In terms of the ball, they obviously like it in terms of hitting people, but when they need to score, not so good for them. Oof. And eventually putting ghouls next to Tomb Guardians has paid, and I guess that's fair. Now this, I'm not sure about this route from him round. He's moved round some players to try and block this mummy, but that is, he's giving up position in exchange for blocks, which means he's got fewer players on the ball. So that means I got more chance of potentially getting it next turn. Fortunately now the KOs are racking up. Yep, so kind of paid for a bad decision there. Moved some players out of position to go for a block, but then the block failed. So suddenly the ball is looking a little bit tastier. So yeah, I had a really good shot on the ball there if I'd got this guy down. Fortunately, I didn't. So if he'd gone down, then I could have got rid of this Tomb Guardian and had a free shot on the ball to pick up with no tackle zones. Fortunately, this guy got it down. So I then blocked with this guy to get him back in the mix. He was slightly out of position here, so pushing him this way, he's moving the guy around, he's taking up lots more tackle zones and marking up more players, being a lot more of a nuisance. So now time for positive risk. He can't score anymore. He's got 2 turns left, and the chance of getting any of this Khemri down this end of the pitch is minimal. I mean, technically you can still get the skeleton down, but it's almost certainly not going to happen. So I'm now taking positive risks. So I've gone for a half dice block on this Tomb Guardian to move him off the ball. It's better than 3 up, so it's not ridiculous nonsense. And then a 1 dice block and there as well, so 3 up this guy, and then I can try and get in here, pick the ball up, and potentially score. This stage of the game, so I've avoided any kind of risk of any kind beforehand, but we're now at the point of the game where there's a huge upside for taking medium risk, which I'm going to take because the downside of him getting the ball is not so big anymore, because he's probably not going to score, or almost certainly not going to score as a result of it. So now we can take bigger risks because there's more of an upside for me. So at this point I thought I was in, I made my first pickup, and then I failed my 8 and 9 dodge with dodge score. But otherwise I would have been set on to score, I would have thought. And I got KO'd as well, so pretty unfortunate. All these guys in the KO bin, not looking very good. 5 guys off the pitch. Okay, so not unreasonably, he's just going for blocks at this point. He doesn't think he's going to score, and that's probably not unreasonable. He's got such a numbers advantage at this point that I don't think it's a bad shout to think, well, let's try and maximise that. You know, we're winning the blocking game. Let's try and win overall. He did blitz, and I won in 9 again immediately, so great. Mummies are really struggling today with their blocks. So that's half time. And unfortunately I failed 3 of my 4 knockouts. With another guy down, I'm now 2 guys down. Eight versus his 10, which against Khemri can be problematic. They can really make the Tomb Guardians count in terms of man advantage. If they can start getting 1 Tomb Guardian marking 2 zombies, that kind of thing. At this stage, when they're already chilling up, that's a huge advantage. I can really make that count. Okay, so I sort of started 2 of these guys here to get the ball. This guy back here loose to either blitz forward on if everything goes well, or to cover the ball if it doesn't. So I got a reroll. That's great. But I bought a coach and a cheerleader for my team, partly for the reasons of wanting to make sure my opponents didn't get rerolls. So I've moved this guy forward here to cover the ball, and then I have made this 2 dice block here with this mummy. With it being a 4-up pickup in the rain, I want to make my blocks first. Much less likely to fail and much bigger upside for them working. Unfortunately, failing the first one, using the reroll. Oh, great. Doing this also frees this guy up to come back around and cover the ball. So that is the reason that. So that's why I've done that one first, and then moved him and then done the other blocks. Thankfully, this is a 3 dice block. Okay, so I'm going to go for the pickup now, leaving this guy here, with the knowledge that if it works, I can have the ball carrier safe and then use the blitz, the white here for the blitz up here. And because I have only got 8 players and I don't really have the opportunity to cage very well, I decided to just move the ball carrier back here out of range. I don't want to just put him here in a cage because I'm 2 men down and I've had to use a couple of players here to cover the ball. He can just squeeze me in, he can just jam everybody in around the cage and crush me with 2-man advantage. So I don't want to invite that immediately, so I'm quite happy to just have the ball carrier here out of range on my turn 1. Now I can push forward into his half and get the blitz over here. It's a push. So, I wasn't quite sure what he was doing on this turn. If it were me, I would be thinking this is a real opportunity to absolutely apply the pressure. 2-man advantage, 2 blocking teams. But he's got these 2 guys here that aren't in contact. I'm not sure why that is. Another guy here not in contact. He may have been much better off putting everybody in. So I had a long hard think at the start of this turn. I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do. There's a potential to come around here and try and put a cage behind these 2 mummies. But then that's quite passive. It meant just leaving this white next to this tomb guy. He took a hit next turn. I wasn't sure about that, so I thought about this instead. So I'm going to put my ghoul ball carrier here, and then block diagonally here. So take 1 fewer of the 3 blocks with the mummy. So there were 2 blocks here with the mummy, 1 there, 1 there, and that might be something you'd immediately take or think to take at the start of a turn. But I've decided that positionally it's better to just take 1 of them to free the other mummy up to the blitz action. To blitz this guy here. And create a much safer cage. So this guy's got guard, remember, so I can now push him back still into combat my cage and have a 2 dice block with block. So that wasn't too much for worry. Got a stun, that's nice. And just left my white next to the Tomb Guardian here. I don't want him free. I want opportunities to break away at this point. We've got 3 guys in the KO bin, 2 men down. I'm thinking an early score isn't too bad. So if I get the possibility for that, I will start looking towards it.